In 1983, I did radiotomography with 30 watts, looking for oil in the ground. I found 26 oil wells over a 9-state area, and 100% of the time was accurate with just 30 watts of power beaming straight into solid rock. HAARP uses 1 billion watts beamed straight into the ionosphere for experiments. Picture these strings on the piano as layers of the earth. Each one has its own frequency. What we used to do is beam radio waves into the ground, and it would vibrate any strings that were present in the ground. We might get a sound back like, and we'd say, that's natural gas. We might get a sound back like, and we say that's crude oil. We were able to identify each frequency. We accomplished this with just 30 watts of radio power. If you do this with 2 billion watts, the vibrations are so violent that the entire piano would shake. In fact, the whole house would shake. In fact, the vibrations could be so severe underground that could even cause an earthquake.
Last year, I confronted Heizo Takenaka, the former Japanese finance minister, over why he handed over control of the Japanese financial system to a group of American and European oligarchs. He and his envoy told me that it was because Japan had been threatened by an earthquake machine. I did not believe it at the time. However, when I started exposing some of their doings, I was told by the Japanese security police that because of what I had said on places like Rents.com, that Niigata City was going to be hit by an earthquake. 2 days later, Japan's largest nuclear reactor was the exact epicenter of 2 earthquakes, both 6.8 in magnitude. That was too much of a coincidence for me. So I started doing research and found out about HAARP, H-A-A-R-P. And I realized that they really did know how to make earthquakes. And they do it by shooting a 1 billion watt microwave into the ionosphere, which is the part of the atmosphere that has a lot of energy in it. That pushes the ionosphere up into outer space, and then it rebounds. And the way it rebounds can cause earthquakes. Just like an opera singer can break a glass by singing at a certain level, or by dragging your fingernails on a blackboard, you feel a weird sensation. If they adjust the vibration for the rock underneath their target site, they can do that. The same machine can also heat up subterranean water to cause earthquakes. And remember, a 1 billion watt microwave. What does microwave do to water? It heats it up. Now imagine if you put 1 billion watts into a tropical storm. You could make it much bigger, and you could change the direction it flows in. You know how there's high pressure zones and low pressure zones. Well, high is hot and low is cold. And the hot flows into the cold. And vice versa when there's more of the cold. So they can heat up an area and cause it to flow into a next door area. In other words, these people are capable of creating the cyclone that hit Myanmar, the tsunami that hit Indonesia, and the earthquake that hit China. Now, after the earthquakes hit Niigata, a member of the Inagawa crime family, which is based in around the U.S. Yokosuka Air Base, and members of the Inagawa family have told me that their big boss is George Bush Sr. In other words, they work for Skull and Bones. And they invited me to a so-called UFO gathering where they showed me the video of this blob. They told me it was a UFO, but it was obviously, to me anyway, a plasma weapon, or a ball of heat created by something like a 1 billion watt microwave.
Forest fires rage in Western Australia. A home destroyed by the bushfire in Rollystone. 59 houses have been lost and 29 scorched in forest fires blazing 40 kilometers from the centre of Perth, officials in the Western Australia state capital said Monday. The Fire and Emergency Services Authority said there were no reports of deaths or injuries and that the winds fanning the flames were easing and they believed they had the fire under control. Huge rings appear over Australia. Is HAARP involved? 4 strange giant rings appeared over Australia in January 2010. Could HAARP be involved? That would explain the massive floods which occurred 1 year later, in 2011. A year ago, Colin Andrews received an email from someone in Australia claiming that he has discovered a bizarre ring over Australia's southeast region. The rings were huge, as big as Germany or a US state, and they have been detected by the Australian government weather satellites and radars. Only remains of the huge ring now moving away northeast as several small spiraling arms. Satellite image by Australian government. Taken at 11:17 hours, noting the position of the ring from state border. Taken at 14:30 hours. Cloud cover has moved position but the ring remains in the same position but less well defined. The second ring appeared in northwest of Australia on January 2, 2010. 2 more bizarre rings seen on radar over the northwest and southeast of Australia on January 22, 2010. The ring over the southeast appeared approximately 30 seconds before the bizarre red star over the northwest. Northwest ring. The actual loop of this effect appearing on the local Broome radar also shows the histogram. Here's a link towards the actual Broome weather radar histogram. Its intensity was detected as heavy and you can see it happening at frame 16 and 18. Third ring appeared in southeast of Australia also on January 22, 2010. Southeast ring. New superstorms warned have doomed world food production. A grim report prepared by Russia's Agricultural Ministry for Prime Minister Putin warns that our world's ability to feed itself in 2011 has been doomed due to the latest superstorms that slammed into the United States and Australia this past week. A superstorm is an extremely large and powerful storm that forms when conditions of the atmosphere are right to support a storm of its magnitude. This usually happens when 2 or more storm systems merge, then are strengthened by a jet stream. One of the most famous superstorms occurred over North America in 1993 and was called the Storm of the Century. During the past few months, however, and as we had previously detailed in our January 19 report, Greenland's sunrise shocks world as superstorms pound planet. These superstorms are now occurring on a near-weekly basis. Destroyed 2,000 properties and blackened 450,000 hectares. The Perth fires are the latest in a string of natural disasters to befall Australia and follow on from 10 years of drought. On the eastern seaboard, torrential January rains flooded much of Queensland, knocking out coal mines and inundating thousands of houses in Brisbane, the state capital. The flood repair bill is estimated at $5.6 billion Australian dollars, $5.6 billion US dollars. Last week, A monster cyclone thundered over the North Queensland coast, smashing crops, wrecking tourist resorts and running up a bill estimate at $1 billion Australian dollars. Maximum strength cyclone Yasi flattened 150 houses and left 650 with serious structural damage. Queensland's tourism industry will take years to fully recover, officials said. The damage done by these superstorms to the crops of North America and Australia do pose significant, but not catastrophic damage to our world's ability to feed itself this year. However, this report continues, when the damage caused by these superstorms is combined with the cataclysmic destruction of over one-third of Russia's crops due to historic fires and drought, the historic drought in China that is now being warned could cripple their entire winter wheat crop, the superstorms that have pounded southern Africa leaving their agricultural sector in ruins, the superstorms that have virtually destroyed Sri Lanka's ability to feed itself, the superstorm that killed over 2,000 in Pakistan and destroyed its agriculture sector, historic fires and drought in Ukraine that destroyed 20% of their crops. The Australian media said these rings are perfectly normal and it's all a conspiracy, but now after floods reached biblical proportions in Australia, these strange anomalies must be fully studied. The southwest weather ring was definitely very strange and totally looks artificial. Similar rings later appeared in 2 more places. The large clearly defined ring has slowly dissipated but still was just visible on a time loop which was spiraling counterclockwise low-pressured system. These are official satellite images from Australian Government Bureau of Meteorology. First ring appeared in southwest of Australia on January 16, 2010. The image above shows a wide band ring covering many hundreds of miles across the southwest of Australia with a small dot, presumably cloud, shown just right of center. Collins said he checked the site several hours later and played a loop of the radar which was on the site at that time. The radar confirmed the image above and showed the ring fading but still visible over a period of a couple of hours. Regrettably, the loop could not be saved. That loop is not on the site anymore, but the satellite image taken at 16:30 UTC is also very interesting. It shows a very large counterclockwise rotation over West Australia where the mysterious large ring had appeared. It revealed a small and brief appearance of a condensation trail formed off the coastline, and from the center what had been a huge ring, a series of 3 small spiraling arms. These arms can be seen moving out of the area and moving northeast. Only remains of the huge ring now moving away northeast as several small spiraling arms. Satellite image by Australian government. Taken at 11:17 hours, noting the position of the ring from state border. Taken at 14:30 hours. Cloud cover has moved position but the ring remains in the same position but less well defined. Second ring appeared in northwest of Australia on January 22, 2010. 2 more bizarre rings seen on radar over the northwest and southeast of Australia on January 22, 2010. The ring over the southeast appeared approximately 30 seconds before the bizarre red star over the northwest. Northwest ring. The actual loop of this effect appearing on the local Broome radar also shows the histogram. Here's a link towards the actual Broome weather radar histogram. Its intensity was detected as heavy and you can see it happening at frame 16 and 18. Third ring appeared in southeast of Australia also on January 22, 2010. Southeast ring, Melbourne area. Fourth ring appeared in southeast of Australia on January 27, 2010. Black spiraling radial arms from a much larger ruby red star center, over the southwest on January 27. The same facility as the third ring which appeared on the 22nd. 1 hour before the spiral burst appeared. Notice 2 radiating lines which connect at what becomes the center of the radar burst 60 minutes later. Close-up of the interesting combination of evolving events. Apart from the 2 radiating radar lines, notice also a series of spiraling arm arcs appearing in wave action in the sea to the south and also similar effects but as clouds to the east. Look again at these after what becomes a dramatic further development. When the ring of fire fall takes place, one can see that its center is the same spot the 2 90-degree radar lines meet. The wave action from the ocean can be clearly seen by satellite to be aligned and separated by same spacing ratios as the radar or other.
That's why the weather's so shit, folks. This is a big HAARP installation in Ireland. Hope you enjoyed this. Bye.
(10:45), 11 o'clock, 12:15, and if I just work it forward, there's that massive cloud that then gains speed and goes across the UK. Okay, now just look at this. Let's look at the same one on radar, starting at 10 o'clock, Sunday the 29th of December, and just watch how the HAARP kicks in here. You look at across in Ireland, and then you start getting these massive, look at that spiral shape there of radio waves that come across the centre. Now it kicks in, hits that cloud. Remember that thick black cloud was in that position then, and then it kicks in right across the whole of Ireland, and there we go. There's the cloud. That's the rainfall that kicks in, and again you can see those wavelengths of the HAARP, and massive, still going on down there. Look at those wavelengths sitting outside Ireland, across Dublin, and then they kick across the whole of the UK. What they do, they heat it up around this area here, and that increases the wind that forces it across the UK, causes it to rain at will, at the press of a button, and also to control the speed of the clouds as well. All this, the chemtrails, aluminium, the barium, and goodness knows whatever else they put in this. They did the same in the USA on Thanksgiving Day. Massive storms, people losing their houses, floods, but you see the circular wavelengths right round there, Ireland, across there, and also later right up and into the UK. And it shows that this is total manipulation. Even they can't control it sometimes. They're experimenting different places, but boy are they getting the hang of it now. They are actually controlling the weather to a point that we have no control of what they do.
That's why the weather's so shit, folks. There's a big HAARP installation in Ireland. Hope you enjoyed this. Bye.